So LeBron opted into this year. He's exercising his $52.6 million player option for the 2025-2026 season. But I don't think LeBron gives Rob Pelinka credit for the Luka trade. I think LeBron knows that Rob Pelinka and Jeanie Buss are full of shit. And that their goal is not to win. And that for the last many years now, he's been treated like a cash cow. Let me tell you something, man. I have kids. One is 18 and one is 13. Once they start high school or something like that, right? Once they get a strong group of friends, it's hard to just move. You know? And I think, I'll get to what I think. But just let me go ahead and read what Rich Paul said so that you see. Yo, LeBron don't give Rob Pelinka credit for getting Luka Doncic on the team. However that trade went down, right? We know Nico Harrison was sitting in the seat at the time of the trade, and Rob Pelinka was sitting in the seat at the time of the trade. And what people are trying to do is tell you facts, but not tell you the truth, right? So they want to tell you Rob Pelinka pulled off that trade. That's bullshit, right? It's a fact Rob Pelinka was sitting in the seat when that trade happened. So maybe in the course of history, Rob Pelinka gets credit for it. But you and I know that Rob Pelinka is more inclined to sit on his ass and watch the world go by than get up off his ass and do something for the betterment of the team, especially if it costs him money and his reputation. Rob Pelinka is a self-preservation dude. He is worried about his self-preservation first and foremost. The Lakers ain't the number one thing on his mind. If a move could be made and he questions whether or not he's going to be the fall guy in the annals of history, if he's going to be the guy to blame in the annals, this is the type of dude who won't do it. And I'm telling you, I grew up on Jerry West. Jerry West was the type of dude who would. Jerry West would put his nuts on the chopping block and say, okay, if this don't work, you got my nuts. Rob Pelinka just ain't putting his nuts on the chopping block. He ain't gonna say, yo, if this don't work, you got my nuts. After his nuts are on, he don't live on the chopping block. He don't move near the chopping block. And that is the difference between a guy who is content with making money and a guy who is content with winning. That's the difference. And I saw this shit in Rob Pelinka a long time ago, when I saw him let Magic Johnson eat all the criticism that came with bad moves that were made. Right? For a minute there, you think Magic Johnson was a GM and Rob Pelinka had nothing to do with anything. That wasn't the case. I will say, LeBron saw that. I saw it. Look, y'all, I'm 48, man. I've seen maybe a little bit more than the next dude, and, you know, somebody who's 70 seen more than me. You know, but I've seen enough to know I know self-preservation when I see it. I know a dude who's looking out for number one when I see it. Right? So this is a quote from Rich Paul. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Jeanie and Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. That's Rich Paul talking on how LeBron James feels. And just in reading this, LeBron James is a class act, man. He's not going to get on TV and shit all over Jeanie Buss and Rob Pelinka, right? But why would he say something like this? If Rob Pelinka just got through pulling off a trade for Luka Doncic, why would he say something like that? You'd have to think that Rob Pelinka is willing to go all the way and make something happen to get another player. No. You don't have to think that. He's not. He's not. Look. Luka Doncic was a trade that happened under the Jeanie Buss Rob Pelinka regime. It's not a trade that happened under this new regime. And I'll tell you something else. I didn't know. I said I thought Rob Pelinka was going to resign, right? I didn't know that the new regime, the new ownership is not really taking over until later on this year. That's when everything's going to be finalized and they'll be ready to take over. Yo, Rob Pelinka is going to collect another paycheck for another 4, 5, 6 months. That's what he's going to do. He's not going anywhere, right? Jeannie Buss maintained her position as governor, or she took on the position as governor of the Lakers. They're not gone. You see, I thought they were going to be gone. They are not gone. That same fraternity, sorority style, way of doing business is still present. And LeBron James sees that shit, man. LeBron James is about his money. He's about his business. And I just, man. So, look, this is what LeBron James is looking at right now. He's looking at a Rob Pelinka who fucked off asset after asset after asset, player after player after player that you've seen doing well in these playoffs, walked for nothing. Zubats walked for effectively nothing, but literally, Alex Caruso, Julius Randle left for nothing. Zubats left for Mike Muscala. Let me ask you a question. If we had Julius Randle, Ivica Zubats, and Alex Caruso, what are the results this year? What do the Lakers accomplish this year with those players still on the roster? Right? Because they walked for nothing. We could say that about them. We can't say that about Brandon Ingram. We can't say that about Kyle Kuzma. We can't say that about Josh Hart. We traded them for Anthony Davis. But those players walked for nothing. So where are the Lakers? It's a fair question. Where are the Lakers if they have Alex Caruso, Ivica Zubats, and Julius Randle this year? Seriously, put in the comments where you think we are if we have those three players on the roster this year. And think about it. Even if we did not have those players on the roster this year, right? And all we had was the assets that came with putting forth the effort to trade these guys, as opposed to just letting them walk. You see, LeBron James comes from nothing. I'm not going to say he comes from nothing. He comes from little as far as finances go, right? He comes from a place in which he has to work for what he gets. Where does Jeannie Buss come from? I don't know where Rob Pelinka comes from, but I know that he was a fraternity-style hire. I know that he wastes and spends like a rich, stuck-up asshole. I know that. Don't you know it? We should all know that. Right? He F's something up, and then he throws good money after bad money. And that's part of the reason why I think LeBron had Rich Paul make the statement that Rich Paul just made. Because LeBron knows changes need to be done on this team. But you're asking for changes to be done by a guy who only knows how to throw assets at something. That's how a rich, spoiled asshole thinks. Right? He don't know how to work. All he knows how to do is throw draft picks at somebody. We F this off. Now we got to make it up. Okay, we'll give you these draft picks. We'll give you this money. Right? See, a lot of you guys gave Rob Pelinka credit for moving up from 55 to 36 in the draft, right? Okay, yeah, he did. He moved up from 55 to 36. But he used money to do it. He used money to do it. You see, I've seen guys start out with a late draft pick, and they just flipped and flipped and flipped and flipped and flipped, right? Until they got a better draft pick. He bought draft picks, you guys. And everybody's like, yo, well, Rob made 2 moves in order to get to number 36 to get this guy. It's like, man, well, yeah, he threw money at it. Look, I've heard, you want to know who's, I heard somebody talk about the greatest businessman of all time. This is recent. And the one dude, yeah, I get it. He wasn't like a Fortune 500 businessman. But this one dude said, yo, man, people need to look at 50 Cent. Because, or really, what he's speaking about is the drug hustle, right? Where you start out with this, and you flip it to this, and then you just keep moving up just keep moving up. That dude worked to get it. Rob Pelinka paid to get it. And people keep giving this dude credit. You know, and it makes you wonder, yo, man, who is pushing you guys to keep giving this guy credit? He bought the number 36 pick. I mean, what? Okay, I don't give a shit if he did it in 2 segments, if he did it in 2 payments. Okay, in 2 payments, he bought the 36 pick. What are you guys, giving this dude so much credit for, man? I don't get it. Nico Harrison called him and dropped Luka, served Luka up to him on a silver platter. A deal 29 other teams would have done. Y'all so busy work. Yo, man, look. LeBron James isn't no bullshit type dude. LeBron James is not hearing the bullshit. So y'all could go and give Rob Pelinka all the credit in the world. I watched the dude. And what about the bubble championship in 2020? Yo, I think the bubble championship was some of the best basketball I've ever seen. I think it's 100% legit. All the variables surrounding it were constant for every team that was there. And the Lakers won. That's a legit title. 100%. But when we speak about the team that was put together, the Lakers won because they had a LeBron James and an Anthony Davis that were 5 years younger than what they are now. That's why they won. The players that ended up filling the rest of the roster were literally the best of what was left in the NBA. They were all the guys that had yet to be signed. That's what it was. And many of you say, well, Rob deserves credit. No, LeBron James and a 5-year younger LeBron James and a 5-year younger Anthony Davis deserve credit for that title. I'm telling you, Rob Pelinka is a shit GM. And what you heard from Rich Paul is LeBron James acknowledging that Rob Pelinka is a shit GM and Jeannie Buss is a shit owner. And I know I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear this, but it's true. Jeannie Buss is a shit owner. Jeannie Buss is on the same shit that Cleveland Cavalier dude was on. Dan Gilbert. I think his name is Dan Gilbert. Same shit. Yo, let's get a cash cow in place and we'll try to win, but if we don't, still get paid. That's what she's on. And in my opinion, LeBron James heard it, and in my opinion, he knew that he's going to stay where he is for his kids. By the time your kids start high school, you don't want to move them. If LeBron stayed, in my opinion, and I think in time, it'll come out. Yeah, man, I'd have dipped out of that place 2 years after they traded Kyle Kuzma and let Alex Caruso walk, and then went a whole summer and didn't do shit. Yo, man, I knew the writing was on I knew what these cats were about. I knew what they were about. They weren't about winning. They were about putting butts in seats, ensuring they could still make that money. Let me tell you something, and I'm gonna make a post about this right after this this video. If Russell Westbrook's name was not Russell Westbrook, the Lakers do not trade Kyle Kuzma and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and I think a pick or some shit. They do not trade them, those guys, for a Russell Westbrook who is not named Russell Westbrook. And I think I know it. Could I prove it? No, I can't prove it. But you know what? You got to know something. And I know that the way the Lakers move, they wouldn't have done it. Anyway, it's going to be interesting because if maybe the next video I make is what the Lakers could get for LeBron James. Because I think LeBron James, see, this is the other thing. It's not a surprise to me that coming up on this last year, I believe it's a senior year for his son Bryce. It's not a surprise to me that he signs a 1-year deal, and then he's free agent after that. And Bryce is going to be a senior this year. That means they're all in one place. You see what I'm saying? LeBron got other shit going on as to why he may have stayed with the Lakers, because in my opinion he does like this. About 3-4 years ago, he does just like that. When the Lakers were telling them, yo, we need a center, and everybody's like, oh, LeBron and Anthony Davis always need something. Well, motherfuckers, they won in 2020 running 2 centers to start. It wasn't until the Golden State Warriors came around and all these idiots, right? And I'm talking about in Laker Nation too, yelling 3-and-D wing, stretch big, small ball 5, death lineup, all this other shit that coincided with shooting threes. The Lakers had the formula. The formula you see the NBA going to right now, the Lakers had in 2020. And then all these stupid ass talking heads pushed and pushed and pushed. And again, I mention the talking heads not because they make decisions, but because I feel Rob Pelinka is listening to them. Rob Pelinka is a punk. That dude is a punk. And I don't say that maliciously. I say that because he don't stand on what he believes. He stands on what's best for him. So he could believe that the Lakers should do this, but if it ain't best for him, he might do it, but he's going to pull back some. Maybe we could go another route with this. That's Rob Pelinka. When people keep saying, oh, this dude's a snake, yo, let me tell you something. When you guys are my age, you watch, you'll be able to see some dude like that. You'll see him. Right? And when people would say, oh, he's a snake, he's a viper, this dude, he'll go behind your back and do some shit, this, that, and the other, I believe it. I don't know that it's true, but I'm inclined to believe it. Because I watch how he executes. And he executes in such a way that is phony. It's fake. It's bullshit. And I don't trust the cat, man. I don't trust him in his job. I don't trust the job he does. I don't trust what he's doing. I don't think he moves in good faith. He moves in a faith that protects the Lakers' bottom line. He doesn't move in a faith that, looks out for LeBron James at 40 years old, knowing he's in this to win a championship and he's still got something left in the tank. You don't see him doing much. And that's why I thought he was going to resign. I thought that the new ownership would come in, they look at this lame duck, and then they say, yo, you got to go, man. Either resign or get fired, But shit, man, he's going to stick around and collect another paycheck. He's going to fuck off this whole off season, right? Because he ain't going to be able to do shit. They're talking about Clint Capella and big man from Milwaukee, right? Lopez. Clint Capella and Lopez. Those two guys ain't going to do shit for us. Anyway, y'all, this is Pure Uncut Lakers. I thought it was important to bring up what Rich Paul was saying on behalf of LeBron. And it sounds like LeBron's done with this shit. Like he's through. Like he's telling them, yo, you guys make moves or leave me the fuck alone. I'm out. And it's going to sting a little bit if he leaves in that manner. It's going to hurt a little bit. You're talking about one of the top 10, 15 players in the league still, y'all. And the Lakers are going to watch him walk for nothing. And it's going to hurt. Anyway, please like and subscribe, y'all. Catch you next time.